And away we go indeed this April 6th, 2011 on the tee, the Masters edition, this on the tee. Iowa's #1 listen to golf show, 2 pros and a hack in our palatial Okoboji Bar and Grill Clubhouse Studios at 1801 Grand in the heart of the state capitol on ESPN 1700 The Champ, our flagship, broadcasting to our statewide affiliates and all of the clubhouses across Iowa on the Iowa Sports Connection radio network. Teeing off on great radio stations like 620 KMNS in Sioux City and 1230 WFXN in Quad Cities. Sorry about that. We're also televising on WHO TV 13.2 and Mediacom channels 113 and 246. And in Cedar Rapids tonight on KCRG 9.2 and Mediacom 109. And streaming live, as always, on iowasportsconnection.com. I'm Tim Dara, along with Judd Gibb, former Iowa State standout, 5-time IPGA Player of the Year, and 2-time Teacher of the Year, and Jay, the Coach Horton, former UAB Blazer and longtime Iowa State golf coach. And when we get it going here, we usually start off with a little recap of last week's tournament, the Shell Houston Open, but this week we're going to go right to our guest.
Is there a big tournament this week?
There's a big tournament this week. The Masters.
I thought there was.
And a gentleman that's going to join us right out of the chute here is Alex Miceli from the Golf Channel. Very, very busy tonight. But we also want to remind you that you're on the tee with 3E Electrical Engineering and Equipment Company with 8 locations in Iowa to serve you from Sioux City to the Quad Cities. Log on to 3e-co.com for a location in Iowa near you. Now here he is, one busy guy, and we really appreciate him taking the time to join us on the tee as always. And of course, he's the Golf Channels, but from around here, we prefer to remember him as a Drake Bulldog. He's Alex Miceli. Alex, thanks for joining us. Know you're busy.
Yeah, that I am very busy, but I mean, it's nice weather this week, and it could be worse. I could be in Des Moines right now. I bet. How cold is it in Des Moines?
Hey, it's not bad today. It was in the 60s.
Oh, well, then I'd be at Waveland right now playing.
There you go. And a lot of people are. Hey, Alex, you're kind of from a mid-major background. Drake, Southern Illinois. Butler makes it to the Final Four. Are we going to see a mid-major in the Masters this week? Maybe emerge? I mean, we've had a lot of guys like Mark Wilson was won twice on tour. What do you think?
I don't think so. I mean, I think that a lot of people talk about how this is a wide open major. I don't really think it's that wide open. I think you're going to find a lot of the name guys that maybe a couple guys that are really name guys that haven't been up on this board before. But, all that being said, I think you're going to see a lot of the familiar faces on the top of the leaderboard.
Well, Alex, every week for this golf tournament, there's always 2 stories, the story of the golf tournament and then the story of the golf course. And for a place that, at least on the surface, seems so stuffy, Augusta National really has kind of been a leader in technology, whether it's been from how they televise a tournament or at least help CBS or direct CBS to now Tiger Woods' video game.
Yeah, they have been. And I think they do a lot for golf. Probably, there's at times a negative connotation about Augusta National, this whole idea that they don't let women in. There are so many women that play golf on that golf course, it's ridiculous. The fact that maybe a woman is not a member only lends itself to the fact that they haven't found a woman that they want to be a member. And, that all being said and all put to the side, they spend tremendous amounts of money on technology and working on the golf course and the things that you talked about. I mean, this year alone, they basically tore up the entire 10th fairway, sand capped it completely, and then put the turf right back on it, and you would never know it. And that was because they had some drainage problems on 10. They completely rebuilt the green at 17, and they completely rebuilt the green at 11, and put also heating and cooling systems underneath both of those. And, this is a place that's it's unbelievable what they do, and you can't even see the things they did. So I applaud them. I think the things they're doing with the Asian Amateur, I think the things they're trying to do for amateur golf, the things they're trying to do for growing the game, not only in the United States but in Asia and other parts of the world. I mean, that's what you want to see. I don't see that from the other organizations, quite frankly.
Well, Alex, that you're talking about growing the game. They also always pay homage to the game. With the par 3 contest going on over there today, a lot of great former faces back. They also invite a lot of former major champions. I know even I think I read somewhere Jack Fleck was back there playing today. Did you get a chance to get over and see that par 3 contest today?
I didn't see any of the par 3, but I did talk to Jack Fleck not only a couple days ago, but I talked to him after his round. and playing the par 3. Jack hasn't been here since I think it was 66, and never had played in the par 3 contest. So, I mean, he came back. He's 90 years old. He's having a good time. That's what it's all about. I think not Hootie Johnson, but the chairman had said this week that, what we're trying to do, Billy Payne, is all about let's enjoy it. Let's enjoy everything that goes on here. That's what we're trying to do. And I agree with that. It's not the slog fest of the U.S. Open, and it's not going to be a PGA Championship, and it's certainly not going to be a links, which I love. I like the links courses and the British Open, but it is a true major championship, but also kind of a celebration of golf as well.
Absolutely. It's so fun, like the story of last year, Tom Watson's making the cut, making a run there for a while, Freddie Couples, and yet you have the young guns, and then, of course, the guys in their prime, and the Tigers and the Phils and everybody else. It's a wonderful mixture and a unique situation in that regard.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And, look, it's a great golf course, and watching it and seeing it, when you're sitting back there in Iowa and it's 45 degrees outside, or you're sitting in Connecticut and there's snow on the ground, and you're looking at that, I mean, it's compelling. That's just all there is to it. And you want to be there and you want to experience it. And that's why it's so popular.
Well, and as you would know, Alex, I mean, if just a few years ago, how compelling it was for us to watch one of our own, Zach Johnson, win the thing. And, you hit the nail right on the head. I'm sure the time you spent at Drake, this really was about the time where we would have a chance to get out and play a little bit of golf.
Exactly. And, watching, and that's the thing. Well, the last 3 winners, the last 3 out of the last 4 winners, I should say, because Phil won last year. But Angel Cabrera, Trevor Immelman, and Zach Johnson, all of them were 25 or below in the world rankings, not guys you would think about when they were coming in that they were going to win the golf tournament. And so that was really interesting. Now I think we could be getting back to someone like, that's a favorite. Last year, obviously, Phil was one of the favorites. He won. Coming in this year, he's clearly the prohibitive favorite. So I think that's going to be interesting as well. I mean, seeing Phil win this week, the likelihood is if he did win, he will be number 1 in the world and win his 4th green jacket, and win what would he be his 6th major championship. That elevates him way beyond where he was just a year ago.
Well, they're talking a lot this week about with the Masters, the 25th anniversary of Jack Nicklaus. So he made that great run at 86. Do you see something compelling like that happening? Do you think Phil's got a good chance to get to number 1? And maybe this will be the time we finally talk about where were we when Phil finally took over to number 1 player in the world.
I think so. I do. Of course, we're all saying it. That makes it even harder. But I think I just believe that this is where it's coming. And since January 1st, I have been pretty much a stalwart on the fact that I thought Phil Mickelson was going to win the Masters for many different reasons. And clearly, as time went on, he wasn't playing as well. And I'm going to have to be honest, I lost a little faith, but still, I always felt like he was still my favorite coming in. And then he renewed whatever faith I had over the last 2 weeks. It's not just what he did at Shell, but even at Bay Hill, he started showing me some of the stuff and talking about some of the stuff that I felt comfortable that what he was doing was going on the right track. And now he's actually, I think, proved it.
The conditions appear to be perfect this week. The weather's supposed to be ideal, no rain for a change. And does the conditions of the course, it can really play different depending on the weather conditions there. And hard and fast when Zach won, which was an advantage for him because he needs a little help with the length of it. What are the conditions? Who do the conditions favor this week?
Well, they are going to be hard and fast, but I think in Zach's case, they were also a little wet too. And that helped him in regards to holding the ball in particular on the greens because he can't go for the par. He couldn't go for the par 5s. He didn't go for the par 5s, and yet he was 12 under, I think, on the par 5s that week. I think that this favors a guy that this golf course was built for. It favors a long hitter that has a control of his golf ball coming into the greens into the right positions. And I think if the greens are pure, which they are, I think it's going to favor somebody like Phil Mickelson. I think there's no question about it.
I think by law we have to ask you how you think Tiger's going to do.
Well, I think Tiger has shown me that he can't put 4 rounds together. He's shown me that he has a hard time still with his swing, that he's still thinking about it instead of just doing it. And I think you all know that if you have to sit there and think about what you're going to do before you do it in this game, you're already doomed to fail. So I hope that answers your question.
Alex, we know you're busy. We got to let you go here, but we, of course, have to get a pick from you. And if it's not Phil, how about Euros, Young Guns? What do you think?
Like Justin Rose. On the young gun category, that's kind of tricky because none of the guys really, even though we all talk about them, nobody's really shown me enough to say yes. I'll tell you, I'll go out on a limb for you. I like Gary Woodland.
All right, a winner earlier this year, yeah. All right, there's a young gun. That's definitely out on a limb. That's a Butler.
That's right. Exactly.
But I will
say one other thing. Don't be surprised if Angel Cabrera has a very good Masters.
You know what? But everybody was surprised when he won. But was fortunate enough to go to quite a few Masters before he won, and he always seemed to play well there. It seemed to fit his game or fit his eye or something. So that wasn't such a surprise to me as it was everybody else that he actually won. So I think that's a great call because he seems comfortable on that course.
Absolutely.
All right, thanks, Alex. So thanks so much. I know you're so busy. We really appreciate you taking the time to get back to Iowa with us and talk a little golf.
You guys have fun. Take care.
Thanks, Alex. Alex Miceli, of course, the Golf Channel and former Drake Bulldog.
Absolutely.
I thought it was a great day. Everybody talking. They've been hyping up Gary Woodland quite a bit on the Golf Channel here this week and listening to all the broadcasts. And he definitely constitutes as being a bomber. I thought I saw an interview with Tiger Woods when he talked about playing with Dustin and Gary Woodland at Bay Hill, and everybody knows how long Dustin is. And I've said it for years. I watched Gary Woodland hit a lot of shots, and he said Gary's got a gear that Dustin doesn't even have. He says he can hit a shot that's just forever long by him. So be fun to watch him bombing around that golf course.
Well, there's some guys that can hit a long way. You were on Martin Laird before he won, so there's some guys out there that can definitely bomb the ball and play some great golf. That they keep talking about the young guns, and most people think of the Watneys and the Fowlers and the Kims and the McIlroys and those guys, but there's a lot of them. I guess you'd say maybe 1A, young guns like the Woodlands and the Martin Lairds and those guys out there that people aren't as familiar with, but maybe just as good and maybe having just as much of a chance as winning as those bigger name young guns.
Well, Augusta, every year, it either, the guys like Phil and Tiger are up there, shooting the fireworks off, making eagles, making birdies. On those years, it's awfully tough for somebody like a Gary Woodland to win. I mean, the three of us have been there. TD, you've been there many times. That back nine is claustrophobic. Certainly on a Sunday, there's people everywhere, and you start off on the back nine, 10, 11, and 12, historically, by scoring average. Those are the three toughest holes on the golf course. Now, on the years where guys like Phil and Tiger aren't playing so well, and again, you go back to the year Zach, won, that was a year Tiger just couldn't do anything coming down the stretch. Thank goodness. And I'm obviously not taking anything away from Zach. If Tiger at that time was playing his best golf, nobody was going to touch him. That's what needs to happen. Now, is it going to be compelling TV? If Phil all of a sudden, his two-driver plan doesn't work, if Tiger and his coach haven't, found the magic genie to come out of the bottle. I don't know. It's always a great tournament. I thought last year was great. Phil, talk about some excitement. Holing out for an eagle on Saturday, following it up with an eagle again on 15, and then, Sunday, the shot on 13. Even though he did not convert on that, we've seen the Callaway commercial a million times. The golf course just sets up for excitement. And I think over the last few years, the powers that be have set up that golf course, certainly on Sunday, for some of those fireworks to go off. But can the young guys, Gary Woodland, is he going to keep his putting nerves in check when it gets claustrophobic down there on Sunday? And
you're right. The great thing about the Augusta National is the back nine, because the way it sets up is as you mentioned, it starts off so hard in those first three holes, 10, 11, and 12, and the pressure of heading into that back nine is so great. And then you come into the 13 and 15 where you can try to make eagle. And then the way, just physically, the way the course sits, the back nine is kind of at the bottom. I mean, you kind of, you're up here in the elevation, it's at the bottom of the course, and the sound really echoes through that bottom part of the course, so the roars become even more enhanced at that point in time, which adds more and more pressure to these guys in that back nine. It's unbelievable theater, and there's nothing like it in sport, I don't think.
Well, and just from a personal standpoint, and I know you guys are the same way, the Masters is really the only sporting event where, people that don't play golf will sit down and watch this. And I guess to a certain extent, well, I won't even say that. I was going to say the Daytona 500, but I don't think my wife has ever watched the last few laps of the
Maybe
Daytona
the Kentucky
500.
Derby.
I'm pretty sure she hasn't watched that either. Super Bowl, yeah, but my wife's a big sports fan. I mean, she's a sports fan. But the Masters,
yes,
everybody gets involved. And on Sunday, I mean,
it's
it really
so beautiful.
Yeah, well, and the finishes have been really exciting. And they do a good job of covering it. You know, the winner coming up and his wife and kids. And, you know, that's why the TV and CBS loves Phil Mickelson. You know, there's the big story of the family, and it looks fun. You know, that'll be the interesting thing. What's going to happen if Tiger wins? Who's he hugging?
Stevie.
Steve Bolton.
Stevie. Stevie's probably hugging him, too.
Yeah.
You know, it's been a while. Okay, also, before we take a quick break, I want to remind you that Geno's West is the official On the Tee Steakhouse and Hack Madness headquarters for the Principal Charity Classic. So stay on the tee right here. When we come back, we'll revisit the Shell Houston Open a little bit and, of course, continue our Masters conversation.